Thanks for coming today. We got this webinar coming up with Reuven from Movesnap. So he's been gracious enough to host this to kind of let everyone see what the platform's all about. Like I know even from my experience moving and like when I was obviously selling, this is actually a really convenient tool to have because it like I know a lot of agents have kind of like piecemeal versions of this put together, but this kind of makes it a lot smoother and a lot better. So that's why I was actually pretty happy that Reuven wanted to host this for everybody. And if you have to drop out at some point, we are going to send out the recording. But obviously, I'd rather you guys stay live in case I'm sure at the end we'll have an opportunity for questions and things like that. But without wasting any more time, I'm going to pass it over to Reuven. I'm going to mute myself and then let him take over. So here's Reuven.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Andrew, and thanks to all of you for joining. I know things are super busy out there, and we really value and respect your time. So we're going to try to move through things as quickly as possible, give you a little bit of the gist of what we're doing, and I think most importantly, why we're doing this and how this helps grow your business, and then give you a quick demo, and then open it up for Q&A, any questions that you may have about, again, what we do and the benefits and so on. So without further ado, I just want to jump in and share a couple quick stats here with you. My entire background has always been dealing with numbers, so as you'll be able to tell from this presentation, I love stats. I want to throw a couple here at you. So start with, so this is research. The National Association of Realtors always spends a lot of money and time on surveys. They go out and survey hundreds of thousands of home buyers. And the number we're talking about here is 85. 85% of clients say that they're happy with their agent. They would use them again, recommend them to friends and family. And I think this number really speaks volumes to the health of the industry. And the reason I bring this up is, you constantly hear, from a lot of industries, there's Uber, there's a lot of other companies, and you hear this nasty word called disruption, which frankly is a way overused term, probably used more to lure investors than it is to do anybody any good. But this number really, what it tells me and the message to you is that the industry is healthier than ever. People value what you do; they value it extremely well. There's people, and there's the industry is healthy, right? Overall. Now, if I shift to another number, so this number is 20%, and 20% of folks, when you go back and survey them after 4 or 5 years, will use the same agent, right? So you've got this kind of gap. You've got 85% saying, phenomenal. I just used Andrew, and he did a great job. I'm going to recommend it to friends and family. 20% will come back, and of course this begs the question, well, why? Why is this happening? Why is this dilemma? And again, your business, and I'm not claiming to know your particular situation, but your business may be completely different. You may get a lot more referrals. You may have systems and processes where you're keeping in touch and staying on top of things in terms of your client and your client relationships. But for the most part, what I want to kind of take you through is a little bit of a journey, right? So if we try to understand why this is happening, we have to look at what is the experience from the home buyers or the home sellers perspective. And this is a little bit of a map. It's not so much a process, but the emotional states. And everybody knows, especially in markets out there like today, people get excited when they decide on location. Maybe they find their home on the internet. They're still happy. Look at all the prospects out there. They start comparing, and things are kind of neutral when they're overwhelmed by choice. But then when they finally choose a property and go through, especially what's happening out there in the market today, if you're in the GTA or anywhere around, I think multiple offers on everything. Things are just nuts. It's a crazy emotional experience for buyers and sellers alike, right? It's not as easy to choose between 40 offers. Good problem to have, but then every seller is probably going to end up in the buyer's journey as well. But what happens is this is the moment where you toast and you say, hey, congrats, you've got the deal, wonderful. What happens next, and actually sometimes the very next day, is your client realizes that they've got 30, 60, or sometimes 90 days to close the deal, and then they've got to get started on their move. And the point is that this becomes your client's lasting impression of that whole experience that you just had, that whole, all that work, all that effort. And it all ends with them being stressed and overwhelmed. And if you've gone through closing on a property yourself in the moving process, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. And that's not the worst thing. It's if you're not engaged in that process, and as Andrew mentioned, some of you may already be doing things, but perceptions are also lend themselves to this sort of picture, right? My agent, just made a whole bunch of money, and here I am struggling, getting all these things done. It's a miserable experience. And if you've ever heard your client say the words, "We're never moving again," you probably know exactly what I'm talking about, right? So the other thing, we found is, that a lot of buyers and sellers really never hear from their agent after the deal is signed. And again, every situation is different. You may have your own process and so on. But when life gets busy and when the next deal and the next lead comes and the next listing takes place, sometimes we forget. We try to make up for it. We send them a nicer closing gift, Christmas card, and all that. Yet, those lasting impressions are becoming more important than ever, right? If you think about, yourself as a consumer, when you go to a restaurant and so on, it's not the meal that you often remember. The meal can be lousy, but they brought you those fancy chocolates at the end, and that made up for that whole, that entire experience. So speaking of experience, it's really all about, and the reason why we're doing this is what do you want your client to remember, right? And again, often things, it's not the big things, it's the small things. It's those little chocolates. They're not going to remember that you worked your butt off to get them an extra, 15K on their home. They're going to remember the little things like, for example, showing up, with a pizza on move day or things like that, right? That's what really counts, and that's what gets the word of mouth. That's when you have conversations. If you ever had a really great experience at a hotel or a brand or retail experience, those are the stories you tell your friends. Obviously, with along with the bad ones, but the powerful ones are really great for getting word of mouth, and of course that leads to referrals. So there's a gap in that 30 to 90-day gap, and I'm going to show you in a moment how we can help you address that in a way that's completely effortless, helps you nurture relationships. When, as soon as your deal is signed and the deal goes firm, you've got this 30 to 90-day gap. Your client deals with, there are, at last count, there's about 118 different things, and again, depending on their variables. So some people have old age security, some people have OSAP loans, and all those things need to be updated. A lot of them by law, right? So if you don't update your driver's license 6 days after the move, you get pulled over, you're going to get a fine. Same thing for insurance registration. We had someone the other day that had a gun license and didn't notify, and that got revoked, and that's an entire process to get that back. So Movesnap essentially is a software platform that you provide to your clients as a value-added service. It's completely branded for you, but the premise is it's everything your client needs to move in one place. So we don't only give them everything in terms of a checklist. Doesn't only monitor and give them everything that they need to do, but it actually helps them get it done. And to illustrate that, I'm just going to jump into a quick demo here and just share my screen, hoping you guys can see it. Okay, so the process really starts with you, and as I mentioned briefly, inviting your client, and and best practices as soon as the deal is firm, right? So generally, sometimes your client will have more time to move. Some folks are going through a downsizing and probably need a few months to clear some of the stuff out and so on. But generally, whenever you think is the right time, you would invite your client to Movesnap. To do that, you get essentially a dashboard, and I'll discuss the dashboard in a little bit more detail in a few minutes. But to invite your client, it's as simple as hitting the button to invite your client, plugging in your client's email, their first and last name, selecting their approximate closing date. That might change, and they can change it on their own. You've got a bunch of text here. That's our standard text, and you can customize it whichever way you like. You can also brand it. As soon as I click invite, my client will get an email from me. So it comes from your name and from your email. If they ever need to reply to it, they can actually reply back to it. And they will need to click essentially one link to get started with their entire moving process. And I'll show you what that looks like as well. So this is the Movesnap dashboard. So assuming a client just click the link, as you can see, every box is a personalized activity. It tells them when they should start doing things by. So I'm a little bit overdue on some of these items, apparently. I'm moving in 30 days. And as you start, or as your client starts doing things, their progress is also indicated here. So they know exactly what they need to do by when and how to get it done. And that's really the cool part, the how. So let's assume I'm going to move my utilities today. I'm going to go and choose. There's a number of options. We support everything from their hydro to their mobile phone, cable, and so on. And the really cool part is when I click on electricity, Movesnap automatically identifies my current and my future provider. Now, obviously, if my provider stays the same, it'll just tell me to transfer it. And it guides me through the entire process. So what happens here is that, you know, I'm moving from 50 Cynthia Crescent. The provider there happens to be PowerStream. There's obviously a phone number that I can call, but the easiest part is literally clicking a button, and the forms from the utility pops up. It's already pre-selected. Your client fills it out. It literally takes about 4 to 5 minutes, and it's done. And, you know, rinse and repeat with their secondary provider, and check that off in the system. And as you can see, it turned green. It's as simple as that. We identify based on location. We also support up to 3,000 condos, right down to the detail in terms of who their providers are, who their concierge is, and so on. So if there's a building or you're selling a lot of condos, we've got that information as well for most of the buildings in the city. Same thing goes for anything else like natural gas. So here's an example of the same provider. And your client would just click to arrange the transfer. It's literally as simple as that. I should mention that all this information and data, so if you're concerned about privacy, actually happens with the utility themselves, and they all use secure protocols. So if there are concerns about confidentiality or us having access to the data, we don't. So all of it will be done in this case with Enbridge or Toronto Hydro, PowerStream, and EnerSource, and so on. So that's a bit about utilities. It's one of our most frequently used functionalities. Changing your address and updating your ID cards. Now, the average household has about 20 different organizations that they deal with, and that does not include any government services. So we're talking government services. Obviously, there's federal, which I'll get into here, and federal includes updating the CRA, which is mandatory if they're collecting employment insurance or they're paying employment insurance because they own a business. They need to update that information. As I mentioned before, people are on pension, old age security, firearms, and so on. What we do here is we really distill a lot of the government speak and a lot of the complexity. And if you've ever been to a government site, you know what I'm talking about. It's hard to navigate. It's hard to figure things out. And everything essentially becomes like a click away. So you can go to CRA online, do your updates. You can do the same thing for your old age security, firearms license, and so on. And the same kind of carries across for your provincial services as well. So anything from your driver's license and health card, you can actually get all that stuff done online. No need to line up and waste time at a Service Canada location. Of course, things like outdoors card, as I mentioned, OSAP, and all the different variables we've accounted for here. So again, your client is guided through that workflow, making sure they don't miss anything, because most of these things, if you do miss them, you only find out a few months afterwards. and the penalties and the hassles could be vast, right? So again, you're helping your client not only save time but avoid the headaches and hassles and pains months afterwards when they realize they forgot something, and the bill came to the wrong address, and all that sort of stuff. It's if you've been through it, it's never a good situation, and dealing with other parties, especially government offices and so on, is never a fun experience. A couple more things, things like, for example, if the resources, like if you want to toss away things, or your client wants to get rid of stuff before they move and sell it, maybe donate it. So we're going to take a look at donations here as an example. So we've got some great content and partnerships with great organizations like Habitat, and we're adding the Furniture Bank and others. So if your client has clothes, furniture, surplus construction materials, books, and so on, again, everything is sort of a click away. The beauty of it is most of these organizations will arrange for delivery and will take a delivery order online, and provide your client with a tax receipt, which is a win-win-win for you, for your client, and for the charity. So we're constantly striving to update this information, make sure that, again, for convenience. People don't move very often. They move every 5 to 7 years. So a lot of things have changed probably since the last time they moved. So even if they claim they know where to go and how to get stuff done, it's probably a little bit outdated. So it's all up here in terms of their dashboard. So there's a lot more I'd love to show you, but why don't we open it up for questions? Because I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions, and B, I'm sure you have questions around how this works and so on. So why don't we, Andrew, if we could unmute some of the great folks on the line, and I'm happy to take any questions, or I'll open up the chat here as well. So we could, if you want to ask it via chat, that'd be great as well.
So if anyone has questions, I can certainly unmute you, or you can put it in the chat and we'll get them answered. Just give everyone a sec to either put up their hand or type in their question.
Absolutely, and if you're in the Greater Toronto area, I hope you're outdoors right now. So it's just beautiful out there.
After the webinar.
Yeah, after the webinar, or on your phone on the webinar.
Yeah. All right, well, waiting for questions. Well, let's just start. Like, what are the most common questions you get about it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So we get we get a lot of questions around does it cover, for example, do we cover everything for the move, and we strive to. I mean, what we do is we cover about 95% of what your client might ever need, but we always get feedback and listen to both realtors and clients as well. And so, for example, just last week, someone called us and said, "Well, I've got a dog, and the dog's got a microchip. How do I kind of go about updating that?" And as soon as we heard that, we added that right away. The firearms example as well is something that we get in terms of feedback, because there are so many different variables, and people have so many things they do in hobbies and associations and things like that. So we're constantly improving the experience and adding these resources as well. So that's a very common question. I'm just trying to think what else. In terms of geographically, we get what areas do we support?
We have a few questions now, if you want.
Oh yeah, sorry.
So the first one is: do you insure local contact numbers, as in gas, power, water, cable, etc.?
Sorry, I didn't get.
Do you insure local contact numbers?
Insure meaning that there are local contact numbers for these utilities and so on?
Yeah, the right ones.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we do is we run nightly updates. So if anything changes from a link or even utilities. I mean, they change all the time, contrary to popular belief. We update it. So as soon as we realize that change happened, it usually happens within a couple hours. That everything changes and gets updated for clients.
Another question is, does this work on a monthly membership with Movesnap or pay per use basis?
It's so we do a monthly membership, and it's as simple as subscribing. You can subscribe monthly. Most of our agents actually subscribe annually. You get a better deal, and you don't have to deal with writing off a small amount every month. And what basically we've got a number of packages depending if you're an individual agent, or if we've also got a different offering or different kind of product for teams as well. And that and basically you do have with the individual plan you can invite up to 50 clients 50 per year for your calendar year, and for the team it is unlimited at the moment.
Awesome. Is there any other questions out there? Let's see.
I see a hand going up, so I don't know if just getting
Who's
used
is
to
that?
this.
Oh, Brendan Todd. Yeah, let's see if we can unmute Brendan. All right, Brendan, you're live.
I'm live out.
Great.
Sorry. Do you guys support up in Georgian Bay, like Blue Mountain area, Collingwood, that sort of thing as well?
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. In fact, we've got a few clients up there as well, and actually noticing a lot of folks are moving out of Toronto to your neck of the woods. So yeah, definitely.
Okay, thank you very much. It looks exciting.
Thanks, Brendan. Really appreciate it.
All right. Another question. No, that wasn't a question. That was Brendan saying "ouch."
One thing I should mention is, and we didn't really get into it. So while we're waiting for other questions, and please feel free to jump in, is this whole notion of a dashboard, right? So why do we design a dashboard? Um, as I mentioned in the beginning, if you're looking at essentially increasing your referrals and repeat business, I think we all are. I mean, who doesn't like referrals, and who likes to go, on the hunt for constant new business and competing with everybody else out there? I mean, there's no better business than referral business. What we're essentially creating, in our part of it is our vision for the future. But what exists today is essentially you being able to essentially also track some of your clients' progress. So as you invite your clients, and as you can see here on my screen, you're able to essentially track their progress. Are they using the system? We'll send you alerts by way of email. We do text messaging as well to say, and I'll use Brendan's name. So Brendan's going to be moving in 3 days. And the only reason we do that is, again, it creates that additional touch point, creates a reason for you to call. Sometimes you'll know the close date, but they went to Mexico, or they're doing a bunch of renos and they're moving 3 months later. Well, you know what? They update all this stuff in Movesnap, and we know their move date. We let you know that they're moving in 3 days. Wouldn't it be great to get a call, or even better, we've got a bunch of folks that have taken initiative and show up on move date. Help out with a couple boxes, or bring a pizza, or pop or whatever. And you know what? It goes such a long way, right? It creates a memorable experience. The neighbors see you. The neighbors are out, seeing the moving trucks. So there's a lot of excitement in the neighborhood. There's really no, better and more economical way to really get out there, right? So that's what we do, and we send you, anniversaries, reminders, and things like that in terms of, creating some more of these touch points.
Awesome. We have another question from Vivian. Do you feel clients who have been invited to MoveSnap are reluctant to give user information and decline to get involved?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And hey, Vivian, how are you? Hope you're well. No, so we get so our average acceptance rate, and we know, like, so any technology, even even some of the most mainstream stuff like Facebook, will never have 100% adoption. What we find is we have an acceptance rate of about 65-70% on average, and we've done a lot of work to improve that process to make sure that the process is smooth and it's really effortless. So there always going to be the reluctance of folks that are just afraid of, doing things online, and so on. Um, so there's a couple things. From a privacy perspective, again, we're not collecting any confidential information. A lot of that stuff is done directly with the government agency, their utility provider, and so on. So that's actually designed and done on purpose. And the second thing is also from a demographic perspective, right? So I know, Vivian, you're dealing with a lot of people that are downsizing, and maybe they're at the stage of their lives that they're not necessarily comfortable with using technology. And what we find and what we actually recommend is they can hand this over to their children as well. And the nice thing is that you're able to share your moving plan and all your tasks and everything you're seeing with folks that are more tech savvy, that are going to help you out. Regardless, I mean, these things need to get done. So whether you do them manually or you choose to save time, it's going to be totally up to you. And clients can always opt out. That's the nice thing, is we never push ourselves on anybody. Hope this answers your question, Vivian.
Awesome. Right now, that looks like all the questions. Vivian says thank you.
You're very welcome.
That looks like it's all the questions we have. So if someone was interested in signing up, where do you go?
Absolutely. So before we get into that, so I want to thank you all for coming. So as part of this webinar, we're going to give you a little bit of a promotion if you want to sign up. We'll give you basically 10% off if you sign up on our annual plan. All you need to do is get on Facebook, give us a like. I'll send you a direct message with a coupon code that you can use. If you'd like to sign up, you just go to movesnap.com. That will be if you'd like to go on an individual agent plan. If you run a team, there's a whole bunch of things that we're bringing to the market. We'd love to chat with you in terms of how we can customize this experience to your team, to your branding. We offer things like concierge, and the ability to put in your own ecosystem of suppliers and things like that as well. So give us a call or email, or email us, and we'll be happy to set up a private demo and take you through what we can do for you as well.
All right, awesome. Thanks, Ruben. Anything else you want to mention before we finish this one off today?
No, I think so again, a huge thank you for joining. Time is the most precious asset, so I really do appreciate our time together. And just think about, the only thing I want to leave you with is think about your business from an experience perspective. What will your clients remember is sort of the question that I wanted to put out there. Whether you're subscribing to Movesnap, or whether you're doing other things, and I'm sure you are, programs to get people coming back, to get people talking about you. My sense and my entire background is actually in this entire field of customer experience, and I know that it works. And you see, the world's most popular and powerful brands like Starbucks and Apple and so on, they're selling nothing more than a commodity, yet people line up in droves every time they have a new product, or every morning for that $7-8 latte, right? So think about your business, and I know, it's literally an apples and oranges comparing what you do or what we do to a Starbucks, but a lot of those principles really work, and just think of yourself as in your client's shoes in terms of how they feel, what they remember, and so on. And I wish you all the best and a phenomenal year.
Thanks again for everyone. Oh, we have one last question.
Sure.
It's actually someone texted to me because I couldn't figure out the section. How much is the annual plan?
At the moment, it's $169 for the year plus HST. So about $14 a month.
Sounds good. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Sounds good. And I will send a recording of this out to everyone who attended if you want it. Otherwise, again, thank you guys all for coming, and we'll see you on the next webinar.
Fantastic. Thanks, everyone. Thanks so much, Andrew.
Have a great day, everyone.
Too. Bye-bye.